Here are the top stories for today, May 12, 2020. Metro Manila, Laguna, and Cebu are set to be placed under a modified enhanced community quarantine until May 31st. Malacanang orders local government units to finish distributing the first tranche of cash aid under the Social Amelioration Program. And the PhilSports Arena opens its care center for COVID-19 patients. Good day, I'm William Theo. Welcome to the PNA Newsroom. Malacanang announced Tuesday that Laguna, Metro Manila, and Cebu are placed under modified enhanced community quarantine until May 31st. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says under modified ECQ, there will be limited movement within zones for obtaining essential services and work. Operation of selected manufacturing and processing plants will only have 50% maximum workforce. Transportation services will be limited to those who are going to work and give essential services, and classes will remain suspended. Roque says IATF is set to finalize industries that will be allowed to operate under modified ECQ. He says lifting of ECQ must be gradual based on WHO guidelines. Meanwhile, areas in Luzon no longer under community quarantine are Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, Pangasinan, La Union, Dagupan City, Marinduque, Occidental and Oriental Mindoro, Romblon, Palawan, Puerto Princesa, Albay, Camarines Norte, Camsur, Catanduanes, Masbate, Sorsogon, Legazpi City, Naga City are also no longer included in ECQ. In the Visayas, areas that are no longer under community quarantine are Aklan, Antique, Capiz, Guimaras, Iloilo, Negros Occidental, Iloilo City, Bacolod City, Biliran, Eastern Samar, Leyte, Northern Samar, Western Samar, Southern Leyte, Ormoc, Tacloban City. BARMM areas are also no longer under community quarantine. These are Basilan, Lanao del Sur, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, Cotabato City. Malacanang on Monday explained that the decision whether to shift from ECQ to GCQ is precisely the issue of the health sector's capacity to provide critical care to those who might get infected. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said the implementation of ECQ and GCQ both require social distancing, good hygiene, and other precautionary measures, and we still have to implement these protocols to minimize the risk of spreading the virus. Earlier, Metro Manila Mayor sought another 15-day extension of the ECQ. Roque said the recommendation of the Metro Manila mayors will be considered. According to President Duterte's 7th weekly report to Congress, there are 1,721 COVID-19 referral and accepting hospitals across the country, with 23 designated DOH COVID referral hospitals as of May 7. In total, there are 12,430 dedicated beds for COVID-19, with an average of 40.77% occupancy rate. As for quarantine facilities, 71 out of 117 converted evacuation centers are already being utilized for such purposes. The government can conduct 12,000 tests daily with 26 testing laboratories and aims to conduct 30,000 tests daily with 78 COVID-19 testing centers by May 30. Malacanang on Monday urged church leaders to coordinate with LGUs if they want to implement a resumption of religious gatherings in areas under GCQ. In a virtual presser, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said that while majority of the members of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases, or IATF-EID, are supportive of church leaders' call to reopen churches, they are simply heeding to local officials' call to prohibit the resumption of religious gatherings. In its initial guidelines on the GCQ released April 30, The IATF said mass gatherings are still prohibited, but essential work and religious gatherings may be allowed as long as strict social distancing is observed. The local officials warned that resuming religious gatherings could lead to more transmissions of COVID-19, prompting IATF to review its guidelines on religious assemblies in GCQ areas. More LGUs are expected to register in DOST's Tanod COVID, and Makati residents will get 5,000 pesos cash assistance from their local government. More on these from Marita Moae.
The Department of Science and Technology is expecting more local government units to register in Tanod COVID. It is an SMS-based platform where one could report potential COVID-19 cases for contact tracing purposes. As of May 7, some 8 LGUs already adopted the Tanod COVID. These are Malabon, Mandaluyong, Puerto Galera, Oriental Mindoro, San Jose in Romblon, Valencia in Bukidnon, Habonga in Agusan del Norte, and Maigo in Lanao del Norte. DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña said they will do online training for staff of LGUs this coming week. Globe Telecom said it will provide the LGUs and their constituents access to Tanod COVID free of mobile charges. Meanwhile, OWWA reports it has spent over 381 million pesos for food, transportation, and accommodation assistance for stranded overseas Filipino workers in the country. OWWA Administrator Hans Leo Kakdak said this is equivalent to around 15,000 pesos per OFW. Kakdak assured that the agency has additional funds for a possible ECQ extension, but they will ask Congress and the Department of Budget and Management for additional funding. He said the additional funds will be used for different programs to help assist the affected OFWs. In Makati, residents are delighted to know that they will be receiving 5,000 pesos each as financial assistance from their local government. Mayor Abigail Binay announced Monday that each Makati resident aged 18 years old and above will receive cash assistance amounting to 5,000 pesos through the Makatulong 5K for 500K plus project. Binay said the city government has allocated 2.7 billion pesos to extend cash aid to individual residents affected by the coronavirus crisis. Residents who are currently living in the city are qualified for financial assistance, as well as Makati residents who are residing at relocation sites in Calauan, Laguna, and San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. In other news, school-based feeding programs will continue in public schools where face-to-face classes are allowed to protect learners from the threat of COVID-19. DEPED Secretary Leonor Briones on Monday said most feeding and nutritional activities happen in the barangay level since the start of the COVID-19 outbreak. The DEPED, through its school-based feeding program, provides meals for all severely wasted and wasted learners in the kindergarten to grade levels. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Marita Moae.
Still to come, Malacanang orders local government units to finish distributing the first tranche of cash aid under the Social Amelioration Program. More on these when the PNA Newsroom continues.
Wala ka mang lagnat, walang ubo, maaaring nahawaan ka. At bawal manghawa. Yung sinundan mo sa pila, yung binilhan mo, binigyan mo ng pera, tinabihan mo, kinausap mo, nahawaan mo na. May natanungan ka, best friend mo, nanay mo, hindi ka man tablan, superman ka man, hindi sila. Bawal manghawa. Ang sumpa ng COVID-19 kay daling ikalat. Sa bawat labas mo sa bahay, maaaring may mawala ng buhay. Wala ka mang ramdam na sakit, maaaring nahawaan ka. Bawal manghawa.
Malacanang on Monday urged local government units to finish distributing the first tranche of cash aid even as the deadline for distribution lapsed on May 10. Under the 200 billion peso social amelioration program, LGUs in coordination with the DSWD are mandated to distribute the emergency subsidies ranging from 5,000 to 8,000 pesos to 18 million poor families affected by COVID-19 pandemic. Interior Undersecretary and spokesman Jonathan Malaya said 1,265 LGUs have already distributed the emergency subsidy under the SAP, and the deadline for the distribution would no longer be extended. However, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque said LGUs should continue the distribution of cash aid until the DSWD withdraws the funds. Roque said there was also a basis for the DILG to issue a show cause order to LGUs that were not able to complete the distribution on or before the May 10 deadline. He said President Duterte has yet to decide when the second tranche of cash aid will start being distributed, but the government will do so at the soonest time possible. 13 senators on Monday filed a bill seeking to grant ABS-CBN Corporation a provisional franchise until the end of June 2022. Senate President pro tempore Ralph Recto, Majority Leader Juan Miguel Zubiri, Minority Leader Franklin Drilon, Senators Lito Lapid, Sherwin Gatchalian, Richard Gordon, Joel Villanueva, Sonny Angara, Nancy Binay, Bong Revilla, Risa Ontiveros, Francis Pangilinan, and Manny Pacquiao signed Senate Bill number 1521. It aims to amend Section 1 of Republic Act number 7966, which granted ABS-CBN a 25-year franchise that expired last May 4. The proposed measure grants ABS-CBN a provisional franchise until June 30, 2022. The senators noted that the non-renewal of ABS-CBN's franchise will result in the loss of thousands of jobs, would imperil the Philippine advertising industry, and the loss of a significant revenue stream for government, among others. Once enacted, the bill shall have a retroactive effect from May 3, 2020 and shall be in full force and effect until a new franchise has been granted to the broadcast company. Local government units strive to beat the May 10 deadline to disburse cash aid under the Social Amelioration Program to families affected by COVID-19, with some managing to reach all of their eligible constituents. More on this from Ruth Abby Gita Carlos.
Over 736,000 families in the Ilocos region have received emergency cash subsidy under the National Government Social Amelioration Program as of Monday noon, May 11. DSWD Ilocos Region Information Officer Darwin Chan said the SAP payout rate in the 4 provinces of the region was 92.8%. Each of the qualified beneficiaries received 5,500 pesos. Meanwhile, the Department of Social Welfare and Development in the Caraga region reported the completion of the distribution of SAP in the area. The DSWD 13 lauded the efforts of the 73 LGUs, which served at the forefront during the distribution of the SAP to the direct beneficiaries. Over 1.5 billion pesos has been disbursed to over 305,000 low-income families in the region as of May 8. These families are non-Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program members. In Antique, 17 out of the 18 LGUs in the province of Antique have completed the distribution of SAP, beating the May 10 deadline. DILG Provincial Director Cheryl Tacda said that the SAP implementation was completed in all towns except in the island municipality of Caluya. DSWD has downloaded 429.9 million pesos for the SAP amelioration of non-4-piece beneficiaries in Antique. In Iloilo City, the city government on Monday asked for 2 more days to complete the distribution of the SAP assistance to remaining recipients. Iloilo City Mayor Jerry Triañez said a total of 65,330 beneficiaries have been included in the payroll. He said about 20,000 beneficiaries were not able to receive their subsidy. The city government needs around 124 million pesos for the remaining beneficiaries. Under the SAP, recipients are entitled to receive 6,000 pesos each. For the PNA Newsroom, I'm Ruth Abi Gita Carlos.
Up next, the PhilSports Arena opens its care center for COVID-19 patients. And the 10th ASEAN Para Games to be hosted by the Philippines is officially canceled due to COVID-19. The PNA Newsroom returns after these reminders.
Kakagaling ko lang ng grocery. Siyempre, hindi ko hahayaan na pumasok ang COVID-19 sa bahay at mapahamak ang pamilya ko. Kaya iniwan ko ang sapatos ko sa labas. At ngayon, maghuhugas ako ng kamay ng 20 seconds. O ayan, wala na ang virus. Tandaan, buhay ng pamilya natin na nakasalalay. Let's heal as one.
Alam niyo ba na pumapasok ang COVID-19 sa ating katawan sa pamamagitan ng mata, ilong at bibig? Kaya lagi kaming conscious dito sa bahay kapag umuubo kami. Lagi kaming naghuhugas ng kamay in 20 seconds. Pag lumalabas kami, lagi namin suot ang mask. Lagi lang natin tatandaan mga mamshi. Buhay ng pamilya natin ang nakasalalay dito. Let's heal as one.
Tandaan ang tamang paraan ng paghuhugas at paglilinis ng kamay upang makaiwas sa iba't ibang karamdaman. Basain ng tubig ang mga kamay at sabunin. Unang sabunin ang mga palad at ang likod ng mga kamay. Kuskusin na maigi ang pagitan ng mga daliri at maging ang mga kuko. Isunod ang pagitan ng mga hinlalaki at kuskusin ng paikot ang mga dulo ng mga daliri sa magkabilang palad. Banlawang mabuti ang mga kamay sa malinis na tubig at patuyuin ang mga kamay gamit ang single-use towel o air dryer. Basta't sama-sama at laging handa, kaya natin to! Isang paalala mula sa DOH, PCOO, KBP at ng himpilang ito.
The We Heal as One Center at the PhilSports Arena in Pasig City is now ready to accommodate COVID-19 patients. The Villar Group turned the center over to the PNP Health Service for its operation and management under the supervision of the Department of Health and Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases. The makeshift hospital has 132 patient cubicles with hospital beds and medical equipment. In a statement on Monday, Villar Group Chair Manny Villar said they will continue to assist and to support the government's COVID-19 emergency response programs. Next up for completion is the Mega Quarantine Center at the Philippine Arena in Bulacan. In our foreign news, Japan is expecting to begin clinical trials for a vaccine to treat COVID-19 in July. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe revealed in Parliament that work on vaccines are being carried on several institutions, including the University of Tokyo, Osaka University, and the National Institute of Infectious Diseases. He noted that vaccine trials had already begun outside the country. Abe added that his government is aiming to approve the anti-flu drug Avigan to treat COVID-19 by the end of this month. Last week, the Abe government approved the antiviral drug Remdesivir, originally developed as a possible treatment for Ebola for use against the deadly coronavirus. Early this month, the United States authorized emergency use of the drug for COVID-19 patients. On Thursday, the Abe administration will also discuss whether or not to partially lift the nationwide state of emergency. In sports, the ASEAN Para Sports Federation has called off for good the 10th ASEAN Para Games as host country Philippines is still reeling from the impact of COVID-19. In a statement on Monday, APSF President OWWA Vilay officially announced the cancellation of the Para Games, which has been postponed twice due to COVID-19. This as the Philippine Sports Commission, or PSC, decided to withdraw further financial support for the APG hosting. Despite the cancellation, Bavilay said APSF is respecting the PSC's decision to shift its focus to helping control COVID-19 in the Philippines. Earlier, Chairman Butch Ramirez said the PSC will also stand by its commitment to keep supporting members of the national team, and it will still pay initial operation expenses for the said hosting. Vietnam, which has already controlled the spread of COVID-19, will be hosting the APG next year. Coconut products are now available to the public as the Department of Agriculture in Region 10 opens its doors to coconut farmers through its KADIWA at Descuento Caravan. More on this from Rechi Paculba.
Primarily aimed to help coconut farmers sell off their products, especially during the coronavirus disease or COVID-19 pandemic, the Philippine Coconut Authority joins the KADIWA at Descuento Caravan of the Department of Agriculture starting May 8.
Fruit of our conception sa ato ang pagplano nining atong KADIWA nga to make accessible and available sa ato ang mga agricultural products and basic commodities sa atong mga small farmers.
Now on its initial stage for KADIWA at Descuento outlet, the activity targets to sustain food security, especially to the urban poor, and PCA said they are aiming to institutionalize such to help more farmers. Aside from linking farmers to direct buyers, enhancing the latter's products, establishing ties and sustaining agricultural markets, PCA's KADIWA at Descuento Caravan also focuses on increasing the farmers' income.
We negotiated with kaning atong mga partners, matawag nato nga partners, like kaning sa pinakurat, no? Sukang pinakurat sa Iligan, and of course Granix nga mo'y ga produce aning coconut oil. As per our discussion with the DA officials, kung mahimo ato ning institutionalize atong i-sustain para nga we can produce mga quality products nga affordable po ang ilang prices para sa ato ang especially kaning atong urban poor.
Among the coconut products displayed at the PCA 10 office as well as on KADIWA on Wheels include cooking oil, sugar, vinegar, cocoa milk, buko pie, and raw coconuts. The product displayed at the PCA 10 office are available from Mondays to Fridays at 9 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock in the afternoon. For the PNA Newsroom, Rechi Paculba, Philippine Information Agency, Cagayan de Oro.
Let's take another look at today's biggest stories. Metro Manila, Laguna, and Cebu are set to be placed under a modified enhanced community quarantine until May 31st. Malacanang orders local government units to finish distributing the first tranche of cash aid under the Social Amelioration Program. And the PhilSports Arena opens its care center for COVID-19 patients. Thank you for watching another episode of the PNA Newsroom. To check out more news content, check our web page or head on to the Philippine News Agency's Facebook and Twitter accounts. For more stories about the government and how it serves Filipinos, look for these hashtags in all of our social media platforms and websites. We are shown on the pages of the PCOO and its attached agencies. Also, watch us on television on PTV4 and IBC13. And that's your daily dose of the biggest stories that you need to know. From the PNA Newsroom, I am William Theo. Good day, stay at home.